Welcome to the BBT podcast. I'm Becca.
And I'm Quilly.
We're friends that are just trying to be better together.
Join us to hear about what it's like to be in between Gen Z and millennial identities.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode.
We got some questions on Instagram. One of which was, why did we choose chemical engineering over other disciplines?
And this is a
great
perfect
question
for the times because, we know that a lot of you are applying to university. Maybe not all of you, but there's people applying to university right now.
Yeah.
Surprised during a pandemic, life still has to go on. And they're
thinking about
usually,
it right now.
Yeah, thinking about it. Reminiscing back the days where you had to apply on OUAC and pay $50 per university application and waste your parents' money because you're eventually just going to choose one out of the 6,000 you applied to. But I digress.
But anyways, enough about that. Enough about the flaws in the system.
So we did get a question. We appreciate you guys who message us and on our DMs on Instagram.
Yeah, and participate
and send
our
us
polls.
Questions. Oh yeah, dude, polls are so fun.
We love polls. We never used polls before creating our Instagram account, which is the BBT Pod, by the way. If you aren't following, definitely follow
the BBT Pod.
And the first time we created the poll, we were like, "Yo, how do we do this?" It took us so long to figure it out.
Yeah, and I accidentally posted stories where it was the wrong content.
It happens.
Yeah. So let me just ask you the question, Becca. You can be the first person to respond. Why did you choose what you chose?
This is a very long story. Okay, get ready, guys. I have to go through my whole life story on how I got to chemical engineering in the first place. So,
all right, we're ready. Buckle in, guys.
Buckle in. So a long time ago, I want to say grade 8 and grade 7, I was set on becoming a doctor, not because of my parents or anything like that. It was just because I liked science. And then I was like, what else really is there? It's all I knew at that time was science, researcher or doctor. So it was one of those two, and researcher didn't really pique my interest that much at that time. So then I was like, okay, I guess doctor is the way to go. And then a bunch of other people who
Let's go save lives.
Saving lives,
become homies
people.
with Hippocratic.
Hippocratic. Yes,
yeah, but who's the guy that did it? Hippocrates? Is that? Did I just
know
make
his
up
name.
something? All right, Hippo Man.
Hippocrates. Okay, maybe it might be his name. And then, throughout high school, I want to say grade 9 to grade 11, I was pretty set on that. And then I was trying to choose which specialty I like. So it was probably going to be dermatology or neurology. Those were the ones that I was interested in. But then in grade 11 summer, right before applying for university, I realized I didn't like hospitals and I didn't like the being there. And I also had a fear of needles, injecting them into people, and also have a fear of blood. So, it's not going to work out for me. So then I went on the internet.
I really admire people.
Yeah, I know. I went on the internet and I was searching away. What can I do with, I like chemistry. Anyway, I also didn't like biology. So I was okay, definitely not for me. Right? Good realization. A good thing I realized sooner rather than later. So then I went on the internet. I was searching away on Google. I was what can I do with chemistry and physics? Guess what popped up? What popped up? Engineering.
What popped
specifically chemical engineering. So then that's when I started to look more in depth on that. I watched a few YouTube videos on it about what they do, and I was this could be kind of interesting, right?
Yeah.
I
bet we watched the same videos.
Probably. Yeah. And then in high school, I really liked my chemistry teacher. So then I was yo, she's cool. This could be something that I might enjoy. So then I decided to apply to chemical engineering. And this is how I got to where I am now.
And this is how I met your mother. No, I'm just kidding. I've never watched that. But yeah, that's how we met. That's how our lives converged. And now we're at this convergence point.
Yeah.
That was an amazing story.
Yeah, that's how it started. Humble beginnings. Back in...
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah. But it's crazy, you know? It's like when you're younger, you're just like, you have no idea where your life's going to go. And you're just
honestly,
like,
do
how can
right
I make
now?
This? No, exactly. Still right now, no idea. And that's okay. Guys, that's okay. If you're listening to this and you're like, I don't know what the next 5 years of my life is going to look like. I don't know if I have a dream job or a passion. It's okay.
It's okay.
You don't have to let your career define you and your success.
Your company doesn't define you. Your education does not define you. You define you.
Exactly.
And it's really not about like what education level you have, where you live, none of that. Where you work, honestly, it's about what kind of a person you are.
Exactly.
It's getting kind of deep.
It's so
let's
deep.
bring it back up to the shallow waters. we'll get back to the deep stuff later.
Yeah. Okay, so now it's your turn, Quilly.
Wait, I just want to ask.
Oh, okay, questions.
Yeah, follow up questions, man. It's like an interview.
Oh my god, I love it. It's great.
Okay, I wanted to ask, dude, like, if given the chance to go back, this is a very classic question. I knew this question
was coming.
I know. I'm just going to be basic here, okay? If given the chance to go back, would you have chosen the same thing? Like, but there's like two scenarios, okay? One, you keep your memory. Two, it's an alternate universe, parallel universe. Do you think you would choose the same thing?
Oh my god. Parallel universe. That's a tough one. Ooh, going back. I don't know. Okay.
Let's start with the easy one. Like if you retain your current memories.
Current memory. I don't know. Okay, I think I still would have chosen it. I think that like despite everything, it like the stuff that we were learning were still sort of interesting to me. Like even though like after first year we had an option to change, right? And then I thought about it after first year, after learning a little bit about what chemical engineering was. Like after first year, a lot of people switch. Some people go into like straight chemistry. Some people go into like a totally different engineering field. Some people just like go into like something totally different. Yeah, like business or something. So like I thought about it and I was like, do I really like anything else more than chemistry or physics? And I was like, not really. And I think that the reason I chose chemical engineering in the beginning was because of the fact that it was like there's a lot of options with it to an extent. I think what I would have done more of is like I would have taken maybe more like computer type courses. Yeah.
Ooh,
more like those type of electives. I think I would have taken maybe like statistics, maybe. I don't know. I think we were sat into a statistics class and they were like, no. Yeah. But like, but I know the value of stats.
We got a sad really story about stats. I think,
but I think it's really valuable to have that. So, I don't know. Yeah, that's what I think.
Thanks for diving into that with more detail. I learned so much more about you, bro.
No problem. No problem. What do you think? Alternate universe?
Yeah, alternate universe, parallel universe. But the thing is, like, I just realized when I asked you that question, I was like, parallel universe, you would have experienced the same thing until that point, so you would have made the exact same choice. So I'm just being dumb.
I might have. Yeah, you never know.
Right? We'd have to change a factor, like something like, oh, you weren't afraid of blood, then you probably went into medical then.
Yeah, I might have.
Right? Yeah. Like, let's say you didn't have a thing about hospitals. Like, I agree. I also can't do well in a hospital environment, which is why I find it incredible when people can, and that they can witness this stuff every day and help people. Like, amazing. I really want to help people too, but we just had to find a different way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, bro. Appreciate it.
No problem. I love sharing. Your turn.
I need to know. Be appreciated.
Yeah.
My turn? Okay, I just want to put it out there that both of us were direct entry into ChemE, and we never left. So, like, for example, there's like people who switch, right? As Becca mentioned, people switch from different disciplines around, but we just stayed the whole time. And part of the reason why for me is because I was lazy. I didn't want to go through the process. Oh, sorry, I'm just cracking my back. I didn't want to go through the process of like applying and stuff to switch. It's a hassle.
Yeah, it is.
Other than that, okay, how did I end up in ChemE? Similar to Becca, it's a very long story. If we want to start with like what I thought of myself in elementary school and stuff, I always imagined myself being a scientist, and like a scientist or architecture because I really like drawing, but I would imagine myself having like a white lab coat on and pouring chemicals together in like Erlenmeyer flasks. And the Erlenmeyer is basically the one with the little cone one with a little cylinder up top.
The typical
the classic chem one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so I always kind of enjoyed that, but I also really enjoyed humanities courses in high school and stuff. So I considered like maybe trying something like I really enjoyed history, partly because my teacher was really good, but another teacher was also really good, just like Becca's, and it was my chemistry teacher. Shout out to Mr. Inman. He was the best. But throughout high school, I had experimented with like different fields because I was always interested in science, and I was always interested in like the environment, right? Hence why I have so many plants behind me. But I tried, so that we had this program in my school, which was in the collaboration with a local university, and a couple of high schools around our area had that, which is like, I don't exactly remember when it ran, but it was during the spring. And then when the university had a week off, they would invite high school students to participate in this like week at university experience where university professors and TAs would be your teachers. So it was like that kind of program. It was really cool. So I was fortunate enough to go 2 times. The first time I was really interested in geology. So I tried out, because I don't know if you guys remember, but Becca and I love rocks.
Yeah.
Right? We love rocks. We have rock handbooks. And like
I still have rocks.
We like to... Yeah, we have rocks. There's rocks outside.
On my desk right now.
Yeah, there's rocks everywhere. Rocks in our heart. We love rocks. So I was like, oh, maybe this is a potential like career path, right? And it was really cool. Oh my god, let me tell you some highlights, dude. Okay, you guys know what geos are, right? So like they're basically like they look ugly on the outside, but inside is like a quartz or something. So they got a bunch of geodes for us, and we got to use a diamond cutter to cut it open. So basically the blade is diamond, but you know that diamond has a really big hardness, right? So it doesn't actually cut things that are soft. So we put our fingers on the cutter like as it was moving, and it didn't cut through our skin. It was so cool. Yeah, so it couldn't cut through our skin, and we were literally putting our fingers on the cutter, but then right when you push the geode on, it immediately cut.
Wow.
So cool. Like diamond cutters.
So cool.
Right? And they also had like water jet cutters, but we weren't able to use that. But that was really cool. And then there's this area near the university that had a bunch of like, there was a fault line. So basically like where the ground shifted, and then a crack opened up in the ground basically. So there were so many fossils that were exposed there. So they gave us little magnifying glasses, and we went to go look for fossils.
That's so cool. I love
that. So there was that. And then, but the thing is like, I don't know why it just didn't ignite the spark in me, right? It didn't go like, I want to do this. I want to touch igneous rocks for the rest of my life and lick rocks to see if they're acidic. Like I didn't get that.
Yeah.
Right? So then the second year that I was involved in this, I was like, okay, maybe I should try out, because I was really interested in going for environmental sciences, right? So I was like, oh, let's try this out. And then so I signed up for an environmental science one. And another cool thing we did was fishing. Yeah, because one of the TAs was like my biologist or marine biologist major. So she gave us these circular hooks, and they were kind of like spirals where you would go fishing, and then the fish would be caught, but it was like caught because the hook was big and not because it went through their skin. So it was easier to release them without harm. But yeah, we did that stuff, and there was a lot of field work. And you know what I realized? I don't like field work.
Yeah.
Right?
Makes sense.
What do you feel about field work? Like, because I'm not a fan of the idea of like trudging outside for the rest of my life, getting samples.
Yeah.
Right? I wasn't really a fan of that. Like, I know that's not what all environmental science is about, obviously. But there's a component to that I wasn't a great fan of, maybe because I didn't like the sun.
Yeah, you would have to be in the sun the whole day.
Right? Exactly. I wasn't really a fan of that. Maybe I'm just lazy, you know. I don't want to go outside and do stuff.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right. Right? This one's kind of out of the picture. And then when grade 11 came around, you know how they had a whole bunch of like presentations and stuff from different universities? I went to a couple of those and I did some research. And then my chemistry teacher inspired me to look into like chemistry related stuff. Right? And Becca, just like you, I hated bio. The reason why I chose ChemE was because like my parents were like, oh, you want to do something that has like a good impact on the planet? And I was like, yeah. So that's when I decided against architecture as well, because I didn't think that you could, but you definitely can. Okay, I don't want to offend any architects out there. Everyone has a good impact to this world. Okay, I should have known that when I was a kid, but I didn't. So I was like, okay, right? Like engineers can make stuff that are good for the world. So I was like, that sounds pretty cool. And I like chemistry. And then just like what you said, ChemE is actually very versatile. Like you can do a bunch of stuff. So I saw that they had an environmental component to it. Like a lot of people study wastewater and air quality and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, that's great. So that's why I chose ChemE, and then I applied, and then I accepted, and we are here now.
Yeah. Okay, same question goes to you now. About whether or not you would have chosen the same thing with the knowledge you have now.
All right, so I actually did enjoy my experience in ChemE. Like there were points that obviously were difficult, but that happens to everyone, right? There's courses you don't like, there's things that happen that weren't ideal and you can't fix it, but whatever. But I think if I were to go back, I'd probably change. But I would have to go back pretty far. It wouldn't be like grade 12. It would be like grade 9. And then I would have taken more visual arts courses so that I could do architecture.
Oh, really? Oh, so you would have like pursued architecture if you could have
maybe
gone back.
I think so. I think okay. So I'm thinking of it in like a way that I like me in this dimension or me in this universe is already a ChemE. So me in another universe should try something else. Right. So if I could go back and change a timeline, and there was like a timeline split, then I would probably do that, because I really miss doing stuff like that. And till this day, like my favorite types of games are like Animal Crossing and stuff where you can customize your world. And I realized that stems from my joy of actually, before architecture, I wanted to be an internal designer. But I was told that you didn't make enough money, and I was stupid back then, and I was like money over happiness, and I ditched that dream. Yeah.
Okay, makes sense.
So yeah, if I ever get a place of my own, you bet I'm gonna be renovating everything by myself and decorating.
Yeah. Interior design by Quilly.
Yeah, I wanted to do that.
Wow.
But this doesn't mean I don't want to do what I'm doing right now. You know what I mean? I still do.
Yeah, for sure. No, I hear you. It makes sense.
Thanks for hearing
me, bro. It happens, you know? Yeah. Anytime.
What other questions did we get here? Oh, what are your eating habits / weird snacks that you ate in uni? Yeah.
Let me think.
There's a lot, dude.
There's a lot. So first of all, if you didn't know, I commuted to uni, and Quilly was on campus. Okay, so then because of that, I had to bring a lot of snacks because I would be at school for like 12 hours at a time. I'm telling you, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. some days. which was rough. So I had to bring some snacks from home. I don't think I had anything like particularly weird, but I brought a lot of granola bars. Sometimes I would bring cereal, just like plain cereal, Cheerios like in a bag, or honey nut bunches of oats.
Honey bunches of oats? Yeah.
Honey bunches of oats. There we go.
Is it not honey nut? I'm scandalized. I thought it was honey nut.
I think it's honey nut, is it not? I swear it's honey nut bunches of oats. Okay, yeah.
It's honey bunches of oats with almond. What?
Honey bunches of oats.
It's not honey nut.
I feel like I've been saying it wrong. Okay, cool.
Where did honey nut? Oh, honey nut came from honey nut Cheerios.
Honey nut Cheerios. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Oh my god. I'm sorry. We got brands mixed up.
Yeah, we did. And then lots of bubble tea. I would get bubble tea with Quilly a lot because after our lab, we just go and got bubble tea, and it was great. Great times.
Good. And we were brand loyal too. We were brand loyal to Coco.
Yeah, every time. I think that was like the closest one also. That's why we went to that one.
Well, no, actually there were closer ones, but they weren't like franchised, so they were bad.
They were franchised. Yeah. So then you're right.
Yeah, it was the one that was like the boba was inconsistent, and maybe
we're not
taking the risk. We need to reward ourselves with something stable.
Something good. Yeah, I know.
I know this is bad because you should be supporting local businesses, but still.
Yeah, I know. we were just like, let's go to the Coco. Let's just go with the safe option.
For sure.
Yeah, and plus we already knew like what we wanted to get there. So, you know.
Throw back to episode 1.
Yeah. And then I didn't get that many drinks all the time. Like whenever Quilly or anyone saw me with a drink, they'd be like, why? Where'd you get that?
It was actually a pretty rare occurrence for Becca to get a drink. But anytime that she said yes to coming out to eat or get a drink with us, I was so happy. Okay, like, you know how my happiness looked like? From the surface, it was just like, yay. But in the inside, it was like that. It's like that scene in the Dynamite music video where they were like, ah, and then like all the dynamite shoots up in the back. That was my happiness when Becca was like, okay. I'd be like, you want to go eat XX food? She'd be like, yeah, let's go. And I'd be like, girl.
Always down. It's so much fun. Yeah. Because bubble tea and drinks were always like a social activity for me.
Yeah.
So I usually didn't go by myself to get it. But when I was with you guys, I was like, I have to go because I'm not staying on campus and doing freaking lab analysis. No.
I really appreciated when you hung out with us like outside of school and like doing stuff like this because like Becca mentioned, she was a commuter, right? So it's so hard. I thought it was hard for like on-campus people to hang out with commuters because they had to go home. So anytime Becca and like other commuters would hang out with us, I was so happy.
It was fun. It was great. And something that we always go to eat is noodles. Our friend group always loved going for noodles.
Yeah, noodles was top choice in our whole group. It was always noodles.
It was always noodles. And because of our schedule, like sometimes we would have lunch really late. So sometimes we'll have noodles at like
3 p.m.
4 p.m.
Oh yeah.
4 p.m.
And it would be lunch. It's not dinner.
Yeah. Yeah. And then when dinner came around, it was a really weird kind of decision that you have to make. Like, am I going to have dinner or am I still full?
It's like, am I going to have dinner or am I just going to drink a bubble tea and count the boba as dinner?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah. I think you said that once. That.
I did that with the 3 guys, especially from Coco. Please sponsor us, Coco, please.
Please. Yeah, my school ruined eating schedules like really bad, but it was fun because I like how different it was. You know, you never know when you're gonna eat, and that was exciting sometimes.
It kept things fresh, right? It kept bringing,
it was like living on the edge.
Yeah, and especially when like someone comes along and they're like, yo, they're giving out free cupcakes in XX building, and we'd just be like, problem set, screw that, I want cupcakes.
Yeah. You come at a perfect time because you'll be super hungry. You probably had an early lunch that day. Sometimes we'll have lunch at like 11 o'clock. So then you're super hungry at 4 p.m. And then someone's like, they're giving out cupcakes at this building, or some group is giving out pizza.
Yo.
And you're like, yo.
Yo, we gotta talk about how like, yeah, they like use in university. If you ever need to get someone to show up, you have food, okay? And the thing is like, yes, but the thing is like, after being on campus for a while, you know which group and who gives good food. So when there's simultaneous events, you know which one to go to because they have special catering from whatever company or whatever, right? You get to make a choice because there's so many clubs. And it's like, do I want Subway tonight or do I want awesome Indian food? Soggy samosas. Which one do I want today?
Yeah. Basically.
Yeah.
It's great. Good times.
I know. And then yeah. No, go ahead.
Go for it. I talked about my food. I was gonna mention a food that you eat.
A food that I eat? Okay, let's see. Things that I commonly ate on campus was Pocky, and cashy bars, which eventually evolved into made good bars after I finished my huge stash of cashew ones.
Yeah, she always had them. Always. Like,
because bars are great. When you're hungry, you just swallow one down and then you can go for another half hour before you need another one, you know? Oh, I agree. Okay. One thing that I realized about like just being at university, it's more like just using your brain in general. But when I actually spend like time focusing on doing work or stuff, I get hungry really easily. Yeah, and me too. I think it's because of how much energy your brain uses, right? But then you have those days where you don't do right? Where you just sit there and you're not really thinking. You don't get hungry that easily.
Yeah.
Do you feel that?
I see that sometimes. Because sometimes when I'm really focused on something, I can't eat.
That too. Because you're taking time away from whatever you're focused on. You want to finish it, right?
Yeah.
Do you ever get that?
I'm like super focused on it that I forget to eat or I forget to drink water or whatever because I'm like super focused on it. I have that some days with lab.
Yeah, usually with lab that happens. Or capstone. Oh my god, capstone was a sacrifice.
Oh my god.
Okay, we'll talk about capstone soon, but
so bad.
Something related to like doing work and food was like sometimes we're so sleep deprived that we can't stay awake, right? So there's this cafe in our buildings that sold a bunch of like a variety of snacks. So they had a bunch of Asian snacks and like snacks that students would need, like XL mints. If you like that little minty cool breath after not showering for 2 days. Yeah. And then there's awake chocolate. It's like the shape of owl. Yeah. And they had different flavors, did they? Something like that.
I don't know. I only remember the chocolate one. Like the
I remember us both buying it.
We bought it at the same time. I saw you bought it and I was like, maybe I should buy one. So then I bought one. And then I think we both decided that we were going to eat like half of it to stay up for lab report.
Yeah.
And then I ate half of it and then I fell asleep on my computer. And then I remember waking up at maybe 2 or 3 a.m. and Quilly and our other lab partner was on the document still cracking away at it. And I was like, oh no.
I think we remember
waking up and seeing like the document was like already populated with stuff that was empty before I fell asleep. And I was like, oh no. So then I remember
like our friend and I were like, oh, Becca, she probably went to like get a snack or like go take a shower or something, so whatever. So we just kept working. See, what I loved about our group dynamic was like when one man's down, we just keep going. Like we can quickly cover each other's parts. It was awesome. Yeah, like it was such good group work. And then when usually I'm the one that's down because my brain isn't working and I don't get it, and then our friend always covers for us.
That's not true. Quilly was really good at like small things, so like she was really good at details, you know, like sometimes when you're working on an Excel for a really long time, you don't really want to pay attention too much to formatting, but that's like super important when you're doing a report that you're trying to give to a professor, right?
Yeah.
So while me and the other person sometimes were just like putting a bunch of data onto the Excel spreadsheet, Quilly would do the tedious task of like organizing it and making it look nice for the lab report. And honestly, I appreciate that so much. And also,
thanks,
Quilly
man.
was all like really good at using Excel too. Like she was good at doing data analysis and everything, and also writing the stuff. Oh, writing the bulk of the explanations. Amazing.
Yo, pre-labs were my favorite thing to do.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. No.
Yeah, one time
That
we were
was
expected to make presentations
fun.
for pre-lab. Like, that's just extra work, man. Why?
Oh, I hated that.
Right? That
It was
course was like in one night, because everything was due on the same day, the day that we show up to lab. That's basically when you do stuff, right? So the lab report was due on that day, the pre-lab was due on that day, the pre-lab presentation was due on that day, and then they like, oh, make sure you have all this information ready because we're gonna ask you questions. And then you also had to prepare to actually do the lab, so you had to read the SOP, like the standard operating procedure, and then you have to stress about the groups you're working with. I might cut that out. You have to stress about assigning roles to different people and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, it was a time. Definitely a time.
Yeah. Wait, sorry, what were we talking
That
about?
was, like-
Awake chocolate?
Yeah, we were talking about awake chocolate and how we both got it. We had caffeine in it. So it was supposed to be 1 bar was equivalent to
Like 1
1
cup?
cup of coffee.
Yeah.
I think. Something.
Honestly, I don't know if it's healthy. Because it's like a
don't
dose
know
of
either.
caffeine, which is probably bad for your heart. But I know people
Maybe.
who took caffeine pills for exams. And dude, I could see them
I think
shaking.
I knew someone too. Really?
Yeah, okay, so
No
this
way.
this guy came over and he was like, yo, Quilly, like, did you study this? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, I didn't sleep all night. It's like, you know, in like a sitcom about school, it's kind of like that. He literally came over and he was like, oh, I didn't sleep all night. I was studying this. I was like cramming, you know, life is hard. And I was like, yeah, bro, life is hard. Are you okay?
Yeah,
He's like, yeah, I'm fine. And his eyes start shaking. And then his hands start shaking. He's like, look. And he produces this like little white bottle out of his bag. And I was like, shit, is this like cocaine or something? Like, what are you doing? Adderall? Like illegal drugs? And he's like, no, Quilly. It's caffeine pills. You want one? And I was like, I'm good. You know, I think I'll back off of this one.
Yeah, maybe not this one.
Right. And then I distinctly remember, like, for this exam, he sat in front of me and he was very, you know how we talked about this, how I'm pretty, like, I move a lot during exams and I make a lot of noises. He made even more and he was moving a lot.
Wow.
Yeah, like he was frantically writing, but I don't even know if he was writing words. He was probably just moving.
Wow.
Yeah, then after the exam,
Yeah.
he came
Okay,
up to me
cool.
again and he was like, yo, Quilly. And I was like, what's up, bro? And he's like, I'm like kind of dead right now. I don't even know if I could do the exam properly. And I was like, I think you need to go sleep. He's like, but I can't.
Because of the caffeine, because all of the caffeine that's in his body. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
I feel like he's been taking it for a couple of days now to like stay focused, but I don't know.
Oh man. That
So
can't
what
be
happens,
good.
guys? Oh, I'm sorry. I just got a notification on my phone. I forgot to put on silent. Very unprofessional of me. I'm very sorry.
Yeah, so unprofessional. Please put that away.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No phones out.
Yo, speaking of which, you know teachers who confiscate your phones? That's so old school.
Yeah, it's so old school. I don't think they do that anymore because they need it for Kahoot and also because it's online now. So
Yeah.
can't even
Or our
confiscate
teacher
it.
friend told us that he does Kahoot in his classes, and we thought that was really cool.
Kahoot is fun. Have you ever done one? It's similar to like Top Hat that we had, but it's a little bit more fun.
Yeah, I had it in this business course. Very rarely do we take non-engineering courses, but that was one of them. And then it was pretty fun because you felt like you were competing against people, right? And then there would be fun colors. Honestly, guys, user interface design is so important. So props to y'all who make things fun.
It is. Yeah. Especially for uni students. You know, you don't know how much we get excited by things that are just like colorful and lively because we're just so dead all the time.
Yeah.
You know, and you think we're adults, but you know, inside we're still kids, and we still want a bit of our youth.
I know, right? We
Hold
all
on
have
to
an inner
that.
child in there. And also, like, I know that
Yeah.
we're probably painting a pretty bleak picture of school and engineering and overall, but no, it's not like that. It's like these are struggles that everyone has to go through. And
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, we're just talking, you
Yeah.
know, we're just poking fun at it. There's obviously
General.
good times. Let's talk about some good times. Good
Some
times.
good
Has
times.
snacks ever brought us good times? Snacks always bring us good times.
Snacks always gives them. Yeah, because we'll be busy and then we'll go for food, and that is always a good time
Yeah.
because it makes you stop thinking about school for a second, and it's great.
Especially
Yeah,
like
so I
how you
appreciated
mentioned,
those.
right? So it was
Mhm.
such a godsend, honestly. Like especially how you mentioned like we are on campus for 12 hours at a time. And like I know that
Mhm.
you said like, oh, like commuting is hard, right? It is, commuting is hard. I don't know what I'm trying to say. But also when you live on campus, you're like constantly surrounded by this environment, and it's kind of heavy
Yeah,
sometimes.
that's also tough. Yeah.
It's like wherever you go, because I used to live in res, and then I would go to the caf and people would be studying. I would go back to my room, my roommate would be studying. I would go outside,
Mhm.
people would be sitting outside studying. And I was
Yeah.
just like, I just want to get
So-
away from this.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah, so I went grocery shopping a
100%.
lot. I don't know if I told you this, but my biggest escape during my whole uni experience was grocery shopping. So it's like a combination of retail therapy
Oh,
plus like because you know
food.
when you have so much work, yeah, of food, when you have so much work that you can't really go too far because you know that you need to get back on time to finish your work.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the only place that I could go to take a walk was not the park, okay? It was the grocery store, because it's double whammy. You can take a walk, you can see other human beings, and you can also be productive and buy food.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. My escape was going to a library that was on the other side of campus, which would be like outside of the engineering area.
Mm-hmm.
So then it would just give me a chance to walk, first of all, because we have all of our classes in a very, very close proximity to each other, within like 5 minutes to each
Yeah,
other.
it's like a
And
mini
we would
campus
always
on campus.
Yeah, and then we would always be surrounded by engineers. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but sometimes you don't want to hear about problem sets, and you kind of want to be around other people who are talking about, you know, politics or something else, right?
Rocks.
Just like Greek mythology or something. So then it was sometimes a nice break to go onto the other side of campus and study on the other side. And also because you get to see the other architecture of the school, which was nice too.
I lost my train of thought, dude.
5 hours later.
Oh, I remember now.
Okay, there we go.
Okay, I also
Progress.
had a habit of exploring like libraries that weren't close to us.
Yeah.
And then I came across a lot of spooky paintings. Okay.
Really?
Yeah, dude.
Campus?
Okay, there's a lot of spooky
Really?
spots in Toronto in general because like a lot of the buildings here are pretty old, right? But
Yo, oh my gosh. Some of the buildings are pretty spooky, so yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
dude.
continue.
So I was in this one library that a couple of our friends really like to go in like fourth year. But there's like different hallways, different staircases obviously throughout the building for like fire escape and stuff like that. So you can access different stairwells. I don't exactly remember what number stairwell this was, but there's this one stairwell that after going in, I could never walk in again. And it's because I get spooked very easily, especially by like paintings and stuff. Because honestly,
Yeah.
Harry Potter probably had a contribution to that, because seeing paintings move would freak me out. And then I would imagine like, yo, okay, I don't know if you ever get these thoughts, but sometimes I stand in front of a painting and I'd be like, if this moved right now, I would cry. And then sometimes I would secretly hope that it would move, but then I would cry. Yeah, I have really weird thoughts going on in my head when I'm just standing there. But basically, one of the stairwells, and it doesn't help that like the stairwells are painted red. Like, why would you do that? Red is such a depressing color. But I was on like the third floor or something, and then I walked into the stairwell, and there was just this really creepy painting where the eyes were blackened out. Like, it was a painting with like horses and like a girl, and then eyes were all black. And I mean, I'm
Wait,
like,
have I been in this building?
you've been there, but I don't think you saw this painting, because because one of the stairwells was closed due to construction, so I had to use another one, and that's why I saw it.
Okay.
But it was like it really freaked me out because I don't like seeing that, like, eyes blackened out, and it was like she was looking at me, and it was really weird. Like, I totally understand the artistic expression and that there's probably a deeper meaning behind it, and the artist didn't intend to scare people, I don't think. But it scared me, like, big time. So
oh my gosh,
I got really creeped out, and then
What?
I just left that stairwell as quickly as I could, and I never went back to it. So anytime I went to that library, I would like look over to where the stairwell it is in, and I'd be like, I'm not going in that. Right, there was that one, and then there was another one. So in my res, we had a really like makeshift shifty gym where it was just like one treadmill, one rowing machine, and then there was like some other tools and stuff, right? And it was in the basement of my res.
oh,
This is another creepy painting, right? So then I went downstairs and I stopped going like alone, and I stopped going at really late nights because of that, and I started working out in the common room, which people laughed at me. Like, I for sure know that I was on someone's Snapchat as a crazy girl who was working out in the common room because I saw her point her phone at me and she was laughing. Yeah, okay, I'll talk about that later.
That's brave. Yo, you're brave. Honestly, wow. Okay, continue.
Well, I'll talk about that later, but basically, like, I stopped going to the gym because I usually only had time at night because we didn't have too much free time during the day when I was living in res, at least like first year. And then there was a painting of I would think it was supposed to be Mother Nature or something like that, but it was weird. So it was her legs were like the roots of a tree, and she was ingrained in the ground. Okay, so the thing is, I couldn't even take a picture of these because I was so scared of seeing it on my phone that it would like contaminate my phone with darkness. But so yeah, I didn't even take a picture.
That makes sense. Okay.
And then the creepiest part was that her hair was like black. It looked like the girl from The Ring. It was like that kind of length, and then her eyes were covered with a cloth, like a white cloth. Right? Yo, thinking of it is giving me shivers right now. And she was really thin and slim, and I'm like, that doesn't help the imagery at all. And then like her eyes were covered, so my biggest fear was that what if she took it off? Like I just kept imagining like the cover coming off, and then her eyes weren't there or something like that, and I was just like yeah, okay, so I couldn't do that, and I never went back.
I can see.
Yeah
Wow,
that was scary.
Wow, creepy,
right? So then I started taking my yoga mat to the common room. So we had like a common room in our res, and it had like the fridge and stuff, and people honestly don't really go. So I would go at like late hours, like 10 or something, and put out my yoga mat and work out. There was one time I was working out and this girl came in. It was kind of rude, honestly. She pointed her phone at me, so I knew she was taking a picture or a video or something. And I'm like, you kind of like don't do that when I can see, right? I'm like, if I were you, I'd probably hide it. But yeah, she was sending it to someone, obviously. But honestly, I didn't care because I needed to work out, and this is a common space. No one said I couldn't work out here, so
yeah. Wow, very brave though to do it in the common room where everyone can see you. Wow.
Yo, I want to talk about this other thing. Okay, honestly though, my res was really small, so people don't really come in, and there weren't any guys. It was an all girls res.
Girls, yeah.
But
Good.
There's this other thing where, like, you know how there's always signs in like the RAs, like the resident advisors always tell you not to take other people's food and stuff like that.
Yeah.
People always do it, and I'm just like, that's so rude. Like, we didn't have mini fridges in our room, so my roommate and I had to put like perishable foods in the common room fridge, right? So people would always drink her juice. Like, she'd lose half of it in like a day. And then we bought popsicles once, and we lost all the popsicles. Like, we only had one each, and it was like a box of like 5 or 6.
Wow.
It's insane.
So rude.
Because it's like,
what the heck?
I don't understand why you have to take other people's food. It doesn't make any sense to me, because like, don't you feel bad? You see this person every day in the cafeteria, and you're just gonna be like, what? You feel happy? Like, oh, I took your juice. Like, how could you force your make yourself talk to this person after knowing you took their food? It's it doesn't make any sense to me.
It doesn't make any sense.
But I would like to put it out there. If you've ever taken someone's food, please tell us your reasoning and why, and maybe we'll understand it from your perspective, because we're looking at a perspective of the victim, but we never really talk to the perpetrator. So if you've ever done it, explain to us.
Speak out.
Yeah, explain to us why you did it and why it's
Perpetrators
good.
anonymous.
We promise we won't
Oh
reveal
my
your
gosh.
username, so just message us.
Wow. It's probably going to be like, I was a broke uni student. I was hungry. I couldn't buy whatever. I had a midterm. And yeah, exactly. I needed to take like 4 popsicles from you because I was just so done with my
I
whole
had a
day. I had a
nosebleed.
really bad day. Yeah.
I had to
Exactly
put
that.
it on my nose.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so like, dude, just explain it to us. Maybe we'll understand it from your perspective. You know, we want to learn here. We want to be better together.
Exactly.
So it's an accepting environment.
Yeah.
Please don't get offended. We want to learn what your perspective was.
Yeah, I'm sure you had a great reasoning. So
I also heard that happened in
Good
like our
times.
ChemE common room too. Like people would take food from the fridge.
oh, for sure, because it's free for all there.
Yeah, that one is
Like,
more open.
No one is really regulated.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, I have another res story.
Oh my god, red story.
Res story.
Let's go.
I have so many res stories. Okay,
Yo.
feel free to chime in anytime, and then
Yeah.
for clarifications or
Yeah.
something. Okay, my res was
Mhm.
was religious, like it
Yeah.
was run by a religious like not a faculty. It was run by a religious division on our campus. So they were kind of strict about like, especially because it was an all girls res too. My family felt safer for me to be an all girls res, which I totally understand, and I didn't care. So I was like, whatever. My roommate was great, but they had very strict rules about visitors, especially male visitors, right? So males could only come on like Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays or something, and they had to be signed in, they had to be signed out, and we had a security guard in the front, and the door was locked. And it wasn't like other reses where you could just walk in. Like bigger reses, you can just walk in to the main area without like having a card or a key or something. But for us, you couldn't even enter the front door without the security guard opening the door for you. So you had to have a 24-hour security guard. So we had a couple of security guards. One of them was pretty grumpy. And there was this one time where we had like dinner dance, which is what we call like just basically formal dances for each discipline. So we had a ChemE dinner dance. And then we were just having fun, and it was very late. So I ended up getting back at around 2 or 3 a.m. With my friend who also lived in the same res. So my friend and I, we were being walked by our 2 guy friends because it was late, and they wanted to keep us safe on the way home, right? So they walked us back to our res. And then we were at the door, and freaking like, okay, so basically what happens at the door, usually, I don't think there's like a button or something that you press, but you just wave, and then the security guard is directly across from the door, so he's supposed to buzz you open, right? But he saw us. He didn't let me in. And he knew I lived there because I've seen this man many times. He didn't let me in. Instead, he got out of his little security guard booth, slowly walked over to us. Okay, you can see where this is going. Slowly walked over to us, and then he opened the door ajar. Like, he didn't even let us in. He just opened it ajar, and you know what he says? He was like,
They can't come in.
yeah. He's like,
No boys allowed.
you can't bring men inside right now. And we were like, we've been living here for a while, and we know that they are walking us home.
Yeah.
Please do not make assumptions. I am not dating these men. They are our friends who are just bringing us home. And then he stared me down so hard. And then this security guard hated me from this day onwards. So he eventually just let us in, and our friends went home, right? And then basically this guard, okay, so he probably thought we were dating these 2 guys because they always came over for homework, right? They would come over to our res, and we would do problem sets together in the basement because there are only specific areas where guys can go as well. So if they want to go upstairs, they can only be signed in on those days. But if they want to visit, they can visit almost any time in the public areas, right? So there was like a room in the basement where we'd study. He would come down periodically to check on us. So we would be studying on, so there would be some tables for us to study on. There was like a ping pong table and stuff like that. So every hour he would come down, peek inside, and see if we're doing like something illegal. You know, in this case, what illegal means, right? But yeah. And he hated us so
illegal
much.
for that side of campus.
Yeah. So we
we
ended up bringing a lot of guy friends because like engineering, you have a likelihood of making more guy friends than usual, right? Compared to other girls in our dorm. but like
Mm-hmm.
we were discriminated against. Okay, he thought that my friend and I were like very flirtatious girls or some, and then because we would bring different guys all the time, but they were just our friends.
Oh, yo.
So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's why I didn't stay.
Wow, that's crazy. Fun times.
Funny dude.
Yeah. But then our discipline, like ChemEng, was one of the disciplines that had a lot more girls than other disciplines.
Yeah.
So we had like, for most of our projects, or for most of the projects that I've been in, like group projects, they were majority girls.
Yeah.
Or females.
Yeah.
So
ChemEng is like colloquially known as FemEng, which honestly I don't agree with that term, but it's like it describes like the commonality of having women in ChemEng.
Yeah.
And then there's actually a pretty funny rule that they had for our capstone though. Because like we were talking to the organizer of capstone that year when we were doing it, and we asked him about like because we couldn't choose our own groups, it was determined for us. So we asked him about like what the requirements were, and one of them was like there can't be a single person of each gender in the 6 people group. So there can't be like one female with 5 males. Yeah, there has to be at least 2 females or 2 males. Yeah, so that they wouldn't get ganged up against, right?
Because that happens. You hear stories about that happening in other disciplines.
Yeah.
Where it's like the male students would not listen to what the female student had to say.
Yeah.
Or just like make them do nothing, basically. Just do their work for them.
Like honestly,
really
it's
sad.
a very common occurrence. Like
yeah.
Fortunately, Becca and I didn't experience this because of the how many females were in our class, and honestly the males in our class, like they're all very respectful from what we encountered, right? But I've had a lot of my friends from other disciplines tell me about how they were treated, and honestly we're not trying to say like anything bad about like engineering or school, right? We just want to put that out there, but it's like currently engineering is still a male dominated field in industry, and we know that a lot of schools are trying much harder to recruit female applicants, but there is a struggle. Let's talk about that actually. So there's a struggle because like basically because the industry is so male dominated, there's an impression that like firstly females are discouraged for many different reasons. Like one, like they don't want to work in an environment where there's just a bunch of males because they're scared, myself included, right? And then another one, like their parents or like traditionally don't believe that women should be in these kind of jobs. So there's like opposition from many different ends. And I was involved personally with a lot of like recruitment activities for our engineering program, and dude, we've encountered very childish males. Like, is that what you were thinking about when I mentioned this?
Yeah. I was thinking about how even like when I was applying for uni, like sometimes you'll hear people be like, oh, you're definitely going to get in because they're going to accept more females because they're trying to get more females to go to that school. Like I saw this like article or whatever, like they're talking about how they have like this certain population of females. So it seems like they're really pushing for that. And then it gives like the impression that we're not good enough because we're female. Yeah. We only got in because we're female, not because we had the grades or we had the same qualifications as our male counterparts. Yeah. It's quite sad.
Super sad. So I actually had questions like this, and I've overheard conversations like this because during my recruitment days by this time you guys probably know what university we come from, but our university was very they really wanted to increase the amount of female applicants to engineering, because that was their way of increasing the percentage of females. So right now we have a percentage of 40% female enrollment in engineering, which is actually very impressive, and I'm very proud of that. But the thing is, I used to take people on tours, and then I overheard these boys saying that the same thing that you said, like, oh, these girls just got in because they're girls. And I'm like, no, it's that is completely wrong, because the way that we assess things now is no longer by grades. You have so many people out
Exactly.
there that there's gonna be 5,099% averages, right?
Exactly.
So
exactly.
like the way that I'm pretty sure all schools work now is a holistic view and not by grades anymore. So what they look for is community involvement. They look for your critical thinking through the different interview processes that they have for applications. And it's a very fair way of filtering. And this mindset of like girls are just getting in because of their whatever, I get really upset too when I heard this. People were like, indigenous people are just getting it easier because they're indigenous and that they're getting better opportunities. But no, that's not how it works. It's because these groups they may seem like it's unfair to you, but that means that that person has had more privilege than these groups. And that
Exactly.
Exactly.
You're already at a higher privilege, and you already like didn't have those obstacles. Like you didn't have the same obstacles that the indigenous and females had to go through. So you can't even look at it like that, you know?
So like being salty over someone else getting the exact same opportunity as this person just upsets me so much more.
And then you'll also hear that for jobs as well.
Let's talk about it.
For internship,
we're getting deep
I got
today.
That too. When I was applying for places and stuff like that, they're like, "Oh, you'll get in because you know they're mostly males there, and they want to accept more females to that particular industry and that particular job." So you hear that a lot,
right? Like all of these things that people are saying aim to devalue your abilities. And then to say that it's because of your gender or it's because of your race or whatever that you have an advantage, and that's just
we don't have an advantage to begin with.
It's so wrong on so many levels.
Yeah, it's like can't. You hear it a lot, and it's quite upsetting. Another thing that you hear a lot of, especially among like STEM people, is them putting down other people who like aren't in STEM.
Let's talk about that.
Like, there's dude, okay, like this pisses both of us off a lot.
So much. You see why we're on this podcast together as co-hosts, okay?
It's
Wait,
bad.
but before we get into the conversation though, I just want to say one thing. If you are listening to this and you feel offended by what we said, we understand. And then maybe if you're listening and you're like, hey, I do think like that, or I have thought this before, there's nothing wrong with you, okay? Is now that you've heard why this might be wrong, we hope that you maybe think about it, and please don't feel offended. That's not the point. We want to address this issue, and hopefully it goes away in the future. So we're not trying to attack anyone. We sound salty when we talk about these things, right? But it's overall, like, if you do find yourself having these kind of thoughts, we hope that you can learn that these are wrong. Okay, we're just trying to point out why these are wrong. So please don't get offended if you guys
exactly,
because honestly, I did think like this before too, like, engineering isn't meant for women. This has come across my mind before when I was younger, but people change, people get better together. So moving on. Back to the arts thing.
The heated topic. Oh, it's bad. Yeah, I don't know what to say about it. You just like hear a lot of people think more highly of themselves because they are in STEM, and look really down upon those who aren't in STEM. But the reality is that we need everyone.
Yeah. Let's think about it this way. Like, you can imagine your household, right? You have chores, right? You have to clean up after you make a mess, right? You have to do whatever. And in order for you to obtain all of these items in your home, you need to purchase them from somewhere, from someone. Someone has to bring them to you. Someone has to sell them to you. And then and in order for you to go to school, there has to be a transportation system. There has to be rules. There has to be laws. There has to be like everything. And where does your food come from? It comes from a farm. And the farm is obviously run by humans. Like, it doesn't just magically appear out of somewhere. And then TV. In order for you to have TV content, there needs to be writers. There needs to be artists who illustrate these things. There needs to be film, people who record them, people who edit them, and they didn't do STEM, but they're giving you the best content of your lives. Right?
Exactly.
Music. Who makes music? Who produces music? Producers, sound engineers, artists. Like, there's no way society can function without any piece missing, you know?
Yeah. So there's no one that's better than anyone else, is what we're trying to get at.
Yeah. Plus, like, over the years... Go ahead.
Nope, no, go for it. The lag is
I just
bad.
wanted
Okay,
to
continue.
say...
No, go first.
Okay. I just wanted to say that, like, over the years throughout my education, I learned that education level, like we mentioned earlier, doesn't define, like, who you are. Because people can be at different stages of their life as they go through these things as well. Like, mentally. Right?
Exactly.
They could be maturing at different rates and understanding things at different rates. There's very wise people in any walk of life, in any field of life, and it has nothing to do with their education. But that's not to say that don't be proud of your education, right? Don't.
That's not what we're trying to say.
Exactly. Be proud of what you've done, but don't downput anything that anyone else has done, right? Sorry, what were you going to say?
I don't remember now.
Oh, you'll eventually remember.
Okay.
I remember the other thing.
Yeah, I don't remember now. It's probably along those lines, though.
Like, being in engineering, we've encountered a lot of people who, like, engineers number one. A lot of our professors like that too.
And I think it comes from a place, I don't think like that's their intention most of the time. I think they're just like really proud of what they've achieved and what they're doing for society, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Because they're making an impact, they're being innovative, and that is definitely really important. But then sometimes it just comes across as arrogant and very low EQ. And it just is really disrespectful towards people who aren't in STEM, or people who are like garbage collectors or whatever. Yeah.
Related to what you said about like how people everyone is doing a good thing, like we are all trying to make an impact, right? This is also what like schools teach you, because when you're in your program, you want to feel like the program is useful, right? So sometimes schools like to or education systems emphasize the impact of what you're doing and might overshadow others depending on like who is teaching, right? They might be like, this is the best, this is the most important, which is also a part of the education system, right? But I believe that everything's important. That's just what I want to say.
Yeah, same. I agree with that.
Yeah, thanks everyone for listening to our some of our thoughts about STEM studies and a little bit throwback back to university experience. Yeah, honestly, I think we're going to be talking about this a lot because like that is where we met and we learned a lot throughout university, not just in the books, but in terms of like life lessons. So we thought that it would be good to share with you guys. Hopefully this didn't anger anyone. That's not the idea. Hopefully the idea is to open a conversation, right? Like we want to hear what you think too. Be sure to message us on Instagram, follow us on Instagram, subscribe on YouTube, press that like button, subscribe bell, ding, haha.
Leave us comments. We love reading comments too.
Yeah, and we'll respond to them because we don't get too many, so it's not hard.
Exactly. We love them. That's why we love them, because we don't get that many.
Because we're lonely, okay?
Yeah, we just want to be appreciated.
Okay?
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much for listening today.
Thank you for listening to the BBT Pod.
Our music is by our friend at soundcloud.com/MIERUKO.
See y'all next time. Bye.